All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kyle Nixon, and I am the Director of Recruitment and Orientation here at the University of Memphis. Thank you all for joining us tonight for our future or Tiger to Tiger engineering event. We've got some wonderful University of Memphis alums here with us to answer all of your questions about the engineering experience at the university and any other general questions that you may have of us. And so I want to remind you that this is a webinar format, and so you'll be able to ask questions to us via our Q&A feature, which is located at the bottom of your screen. And so if you have questions that you want to ask to the panelists tonight, feel free to put them in the Q&A function, and we'll be able to answer those on screen for you. And then if you want to have private conversations with some of the alums specifically, you can do that using the chat feature as well. Just to give you an overview, we'll start with introductions from our panelists. They'll tell you a little bit about their experience at the University of Memphis, and then we'll open it up for questions from there. On the screen now, you can also see our contact information. So if you have questions of us at any point beyond this experience tonight, please feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to assist you. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Paige Rooney, who's our Assistant Director for Recruitment, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about what to expect tonight.
Thank you, Kyle, and thank you all for joining us. Like he said, we've got some really great alums and a current student who are here to really share their experiences, be it advice, things that they wish they had known, and whatever it is that you want to hear about tonight. So we're excited to let you hear from them and give you an opportunity to learn a lot from them. But first, we want to get to know a little bit about who you are. So like Kyle mentioned, my name is Paige Rooney. I'm the Assistant Director for Recruitment in the Office of Admissions, and so that means I get to work with some of our admissions counselors that hopefully you've gotten a chance to meet throughout your experience, as well as some of our recruitment events. And so we have really missed getting to connect with all of you in person. And so we're trying to find innovative and creative ways to give you that information that you need and to really help you through that transition, because we know it's a hard time and we know it's complicated beyond belief doing a college search in the midst of a pandemic. And so we hope that you'll find this information and tonight valuable, and we want to use it as a way to connect. So in order to connect, you may have noticed on the screen that we would love for you to start introducing yourselves in the chat. So we want to see who's here, where you're from, and what you're interested in majoring in or what you want to do after college. If you're not sure yet, that's okay. Give us the information that you know, name and where you're joining us from, just so we can get an idea. And we do hope that y'all will use the chat throughout the course of the evening. You will see as you're using the chat, there's two options. You can either chat to all panelists, which is those of us who are here on the screen, or you can chat to all panelists and all attendees, and that's to everybody. So if you want to send it to everybody, we ask that you would send all your introductions out, tell us who you are and where you're joining us from in that all panelists and all attendees box. Again, you can drop some questions here as well throughout the course of the evening, and you can also utilize the Q&A feature. It is easier for us to keep up with your questions for the panel through the Q&A feature and for you to just keep the conversation in the chat, but we are flexible. Whatever way you want to engage, we will make it work. So I see one intro, but I hope the rest of you will come on and chime in and tell us where you're joining us from. So as y'all are telling us who you are, we want to give a chance for our panelists to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about what they do now, if they've done some different things before this, if they want to give us a little bit about how they got here, maybe what that path looked like. And from there, we will start off with some questions. So we'll go in the order on this slide just for organization's sake. So Aaron Alexander, you've probably always been at the top of the alphabet, and so we'll let you kick us off.
That's right. That's right. Thanks, Paige. So, hey, everyone. My name is Aaron Alexander, and I am originally from Memphis, Tennessee, and I graduated from the University of Memphis back in May of 2019, so pretty recently, actually. Currently, I work for ThyssenKrupp Elevator as an engineer one, so I just started, again, pretty recently, right after I graduated, about the month after I graduated in June of 2019. So I graduated from Bolton High School in 2015 and was at UofM for 4 years. And I was a dual major in electrical engineering and computer engineering. So when I graduated with both of those degrees. again, I work for ThyssenKrupp Elevator. I'm in what's called product application engineering. So basically when an elevator is sold, ThyssenKrupp Elevator is a global elevator company. So we make and sell elevators. And when an elevator is sold, I basically work on the project to make sure that what we manufacture and ship works. I work on hardware, control systems, software, that kind of thing for elevators. Yeah, so that's a little bit about myself.
Perfect. Thank you, Aaron. Darius?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Darius Hankins. I graduated from the University of Memphis in 2014. I am from Memphis, Tennessee. I graduated from East High School here. Um, Currently, I am the Chief Information Officer at Arbitrage Trade Analytics, which is a small startup company that's been around for about 10 years now. And we are a company that's focused on making people financially free. So we have a ton of financial literacy and education opportunities for everyone to get out there and use the stock market and the Forex market to make their lives a lot better than it can be now. Uh, my role in the company is overseeing all of our marketing and technology initiatives. So I set the technology direction for the company as far as cloud and what we have on-prem and all of our marketing content and everything else that we do as far as the front facing of the company. Uh, that's pretty much it. The U of M was a great school, so I hope you choose us.
We made sure he redid his whole wall just before this event so that he could represent, right? Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Wall. I graduated in 2004 with a mechanical engineering degree. And then again in 2009, I finished a master's of business administration at U of M. I've worked for Medtronic ever since I graduated and actually started there as an intern my senior year of college. And my role now, it's a technology therapy lead, which means it sets the strategy for a particular therapy area within Medtronic. We're a medical device implant company. So I've worked in product development and marketing. I was in program management for a little while, and now I'm back in product development in a strategic role. So I loved my time at U of M, and I feel like it prepared me very well. So I'm happy to be here.
Hope everybody can hear me. I'm Valerie Hury. I graduated from the University of Memphis in 2010 with a degree in biomedical engineering. And since then, I have been at Smith & Nephew. I started out as a product development engineer in our knee group in patient-specific total knee planning and worked with some of our international markets for quite some time. And then I moved over about 5 years ago into our marketing department. And since that time, I've actually been in our hip group. So I work with hip reconstruction in a strategic manner. And so basically kind of looking at what are the strategic plans as we introduce new products in, all the way to when we're going to phase them out. So really enjoyed my time at University of Memphis and happy to be here with you guys tonight.
My name is Zach Daniel. And a lot like many of you on the phone, I am the old guy of the group here. I noticed when Paige sent this out today, they must have reached deep in the barrel to get me. I've been out of school now 21 years. I got my undergrad and my master's from Memphis in civil engineering. Saw a couple of civils pop up there, Jeffrey and Lorenzo. We're sort of the non-sexy group. We don't build hips or knees or anything like that, but none of y'all would be able to do anything without us. Have no roads to drive on, no bridges to pass on, no way to flush your toilets or turn your water on. So I love what I do. I'm actually a vice president with CDM Smith. We're one of the largest consulting firms in the United States. We have about 5,500 folks. So I run all of our operations in Middle and West Tennessee, Alabama, Arkansas, and parts of Southern Kentucky. We primarily focus on all things civil, ranging from water and wastewater treatment to roadway design to hazardous remediations to construction management. We actually have our own construction firm. Currently, one of my proudest projects is we're doing a $250 million construction job at the T. Maxson wastewater plant in Memphis. And we are both designing and delivering that project. So everyone on this computer, besides myself, I live in Franklin, who lives in Memphis, when you flush your toilets, make sure it gets to the river clean. So it's a fun job, and it's never the same any day. So a fun fact that I don't know that Paige even knows, and Kyle, I think I will always be, because Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the rule has changed. I was an orientation guy for 4 years when I was at the University of Memphis, which I don't even think is allowed anymore. So I am well versed in the recruitment side of the university. And as I mentioned earlier, much like many of you on the phone, I have a junior in high school. So I'm going through much the same as you all are, maybe just a year behind. So my daughter wants to be a pharmacist. So we have started this crazy time of trying to tour schools in the midst of COVID as well. So it is definitely a different time. So welcome you all, and look forward to sharing any information we can tonight.
All right, what's up, everybody? My name is Logan Wilson. I'm from Rock Island, Tennessee. I went to high school at Warren County High School. I'm the only student on the panel tonight, but I am a senior mechanical engineering major. I'm currently an intern for Principled Engineering Consultants. They do what is called forensic engineering, which is not a common practice of engineering, but basically, what we'll do is we'll go in after an extreme weather event, so a hurricane, for example, and we'll do engineering evaluations and basically write a long engineering evaluation report which will then be outsourced to different insurance companies, and they'll use those to settle their property insurance disputes. So it's a little bit about my internship, but as far as here at the school, I'm one of the area coordinators for the Engineering Ambassador Program. I'm also the president of Tau Beta Pi Engineering Honor Society, which Aaron Alexander was actually the president when I got inducted, so that's pretty cool. I'm also in the Helen Harding Honors Program. So if you have any questions from a student perspective, that's what I'm here for. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you to all of you. And yes, I think we've got a few Tiger Elite and Orientation Guide alums from over the years. And so we tried to tap some folks who knew how to talk to prospective students. So y'all got the experts here. And for our students that are here on the call, you may have noticed that a lot of the things they talked about aren't necessarily traditionally what you would be expecting going into an engineering degree. Lots of project management. People have maybe not majored in biomedical engineering, but working for a biomedical firm. So hopefully it's cool to see that a lot of this stuff kind of works together and you can get to one place from a lot of different areas. So if you're not quite decided, that's okay. I definitely want to jump into some questions, but I do want to note that we also have some staff members who currently work for the College of Engineering who are on this call with us. Their faces just are not on the screen. So Isaiah, I think I saw Regina. If I'm missing anybody else in the chat, if y'all will introduce yourselves in the chat, if you want to throw your email address. We have some really great student services staff who are here to support students, here to help you give information throughout that transition process and help to answer those really specific questions that maybe you want to know about what types of classes you're taking and cool things like that. So thank y'all for being here as well. So my first question before we get into, we're getting some great questions in the Q&A already, and we want to address a couple of those. But my first question before we get into the nitty gritty would be, I want to hear from our panelists a couple, 1 to 2 experiences that you had in college that you feel help prepare you for the real world. So whether that be the engineering real world or the job real world or whatever that looks like for you, what are a couple things in college that you really recommend and that helped get you ready for it? And I'll look to see who unmutes first. Lindsay.
All right, yeah, I'll start. So, I mean, obviously I learned skills that qualified me to get a job, which was imperative, so that's like the first and foremost. But as I think about this question, I think that we had a lot of classes that required group work, which at the time, honestly, I didn't always enjoy. I got really frustrated sometimes working with other people, and that has been a skill that is just absolutely imperative, having to work with people who may or may not be pulling their weight or may not have the same opinions as me. So we did a lot of that in school, and that was really helpful. And then the other thing is I did a lot outside of my degree program. You know, I was in a sorority and involved with student government, and I feel like that taught me more than anything to just balance time and balance priorities and juggle multiple things at one time, which has always been important to me. You know, some people I think maybe don't thrive on doing that, but for me, that experience of like doing more than just engineering school, but also doing other things on campus was really valuable.
Thank you. Anybody want to add anything from their experience?
I would agree. I think I have to piggyback exactly what Lindsay said. And it wasn't until she said it I really thought about it. Your entire career is going to be just moving from one group project to another. And so it's something I think that, you know, you can try while you're in college, whether that be Memphis or anywhere else, to really be able to understand how team dynamics work and how to work with different personalities, especially, and it's really important in this day and age where we're kind of adjusting to this new normal of things being virtual and things like that, and people have so many things going on personally, and you may be the person, you know, that's on that receiving end sometimes. So I definitely think group work is very important in learning how to adjust to that. Also, get involved with other activities outside of just academics. I was also in sorority, and I was involved in the Emerging Leader Program, and I can't emphasize enough on how much it really helps you in balancing, because as you go on from like throughout college and as you move into your career, it will always just get busier and busier. So I think it's good to start somewhere and just find stuff that, you know, it really interests you, maybe outside, say, of engineering and things like that, so you can have a good balance between academic and social.
And I'll just add real quickly, and what Lindsay and Valerie said is right on par with what I would agree. And I think all of us would be the first to tell you it's not going to be easy. You're going to go to class and you're going to see people that you're in school with that are partying all the time and doing other things that you don't have as much time as they do. Engineering is a hard degree, but I think, Darius and I have never met, but one thing that's cool about when he gave his explanation of what he does today, what engineering does, it teaches you to think, and you can go and do whatever you want truly with an engineering degree, because you are going to come out of school with a background and a history, like Lindsay and Valerie said, of working in groups, of learning how to lead groups, of learning how to think, of learning how to process. It's not just reading and regurgitating. You've got to learn how to take what you're learning and utilize it to make decisions and to solve processes and to think through how you would do stuff. That's why so many engineering majors folks are successful in other careers, law school, you name it. There are a lot of folks that really succeed. You may decide engineering is not for you when you get out of school. I was accepted to law school and was going to be an environmental lawyer, and then got pulled in to get my master's, and here I am today, still doing engineering. But you know, it really does set you up for whatever you want to be in life. And I would, just like I said, back what Lindsay and Valerie said, find what interests you. It doesn't have to be sorority. It doesn't have to be whatever it is on campus. There's, I don't know how many, I can't quote, Paige probably can, of how many organizations are on campus, probably over 200, I would guesstimate. Find something that interests you outside of just the day-to-day school activities. Get involved with others throughout the university. Learn. It's just like getting involved in your community. It's a small community, a small city in itself, and find where you fit, and it just makes the whole college atmosphere better. It's the time that you'll always remember as you go forward. So, you know, find a way to get engrossed in what you're doing. So it's not just a learning process in books, it's a learning process in life.
Absolutely. I think that all great advice. And we're up to over 350 student organizations now. So there's a lot. There's plenty for y'all to get involved in and for you to find something. And I think that's a good segue for this next question that I'd love to hear from some people. And I think I'm going to make you answer first, Logan. So get ready. As a current student, what do you think is the biggest mistake that an engineering major at the U of M could make, in your opinion? And so if anybody else, y'all be thinking about it, but Logan, what do you think is the biggest mistake someone could make?
I think the biggest mistake one can make while you're a student here is, like they said, not getting involved. But that's not just extracurricular, but getting involved within your class and with your professors. So Memphis has the great advantage of not having these massive classes, because I mean, I have friends who are in college currently at bigger schools, and they say how they are just another number there. And I'm like, that's not at all how it is here. If I walk down the hallway, down the mechanical engineering hallway, I'm able to interact with all of my professors, and they know me on a first name basis now. So, but I also had to implement that. So if you go to class and you just sit in the back, you sit there, take your notes, and then leave, but you don't engage with the professor, engage with other students, then you're not really going to make your mark, where you're really missing that opportunity. So introducing yourself to the professor, going to office hours, and really just engaging a step farther than you have to within the class is something that has certainly helped me. And I know it's something that has certainly helped other students here too. So getting engaged, extracurriculars, but also within the classroom is something that's very important and something that a lot of students don't do.
Yeah, very well said. Anybody else have another possible mistake that someone could make?
Something. I think the biggest mistake you can have is giving up on yourself too quick. I made the mistake, I believe, my freshman year, where I almost switched majors, and I'm pretty sure I would have resented it today. But the good thing about the University of Memphis, and especially the engineering department, the professors won't let you give up on yourself. I've had uh, Tom Banning is one of the professors there, and I'm pretty sure he's still there. But he would not let me give up on myself, and to this day, I can't thank him enough.
Absolutely. He's still at the U of M. And hopefully our staff there here will tell him he got a shout out tonight.
I'll chime in for a second here on this one too. I definitely agree with what Logan said. You know, if you're going to class, you can get by, but you know, you don't want college to just be getting by. You really want to get involved, and that's one of the things I loved about U of M as well. And a lot of people have already mentioned this, including Logan. But you know, your class sizes are generally going to be smaller, especially like your upper level, you know, degree classes in engineering. A lot of times, at least that was my experience. And our staff, the professors are very accessible, so you can really get to know people. I mean, you can get to know the administration. You know, I got to know the dean of the college really well, and associate dean, and just a lot of people, and they're all great people. So it would be a mistake to just go to class and not try to, you know, really get involved and meet all the people you can, because college is a great time to just network and meet a lot of great people, you know.
Absolutely. I see another question that might be a good segue too, and hopefully some of y'all will be able to share. So why did you pick your particular branch of engineering that you majored in? And maybe if you're not working in it, if you want to talk a little bit about what that looks like. Specifically, we also have somebody who said they're interested and curious about computer engineering. So did we have a computer engineering major here? No, or did anybody take any coursework or?
Yeah, Paige, I was a dual major, so I did computer
So
and electrical. Yeah.
We might make you go first, Aaron, while everybody else is gathering their thoughts, since we have somebody interested. So how did you pick your specific specialty?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think everybody kind of has a unique journey, like to choosing, you know, what you want to do as a career. In my case, I got interested in programming actually, in like early high school, and so software, computer stuff. But I was always interested in technology, computers, software, and that kind of thing. And so when I was in high school, I just decided I think I want to go down that road, and you know, that's kind of how I chose. So coming into college, I was pretty certain already that I wanted to do, you know, either electrical or computer engineering. And Memphis had a program where I could actually dual major and kind of get a broad overview of both. And so that's kind of how I chose that. If there's any other specific questions, just let me know. But just kind of an overview, you know, electrical engineers, basically, you know, it covers a vast spectrum of things, and other people could speak to this on the call as well, I'm sure. But, you know, we do stuff with power, electronics, pretty much all the devices you use, cell phones, communication. There's so many different areas that you can go into. So it's a very broad field, but it's a very exciting field. So that's one of the reasons why I chose it.
Yeah, I can go next. I chose mechanical engineering largely because I didn't know what I wanted to do coming into college other than knowing I wanted to be an engineer. So logically, I went with what's arguably the broadest form of engineering. And I can make that statement because I know my internship is largely considered a civil field. But then also I have friends who are mechanical engineers who are doing internships for Smith & Nephew, which is a biomedical company. So with it being so broad, a lot of people have this idea that mechanical engineering is just planes, trains, automobiles, we make cars. And, that's true. But in addition to that, it has to do with anything that moves. So I'm in a upper level fluids class right now, and we're learning about aqueduct systems, which is largely a civil concept. So it's really just this broad major, and it's allowed me 4 years to use my knowledge and kind of get this sampling of different types of engineering. And now I can go down the road that, I think I enjoy and think will be interesting. So I picked that because it's the broadest form. So that's why I chose mechanical.
I'll piggyback on that for just a second because I kind of get on a soapbox about this sometimes. I came into U of M wanting to major in biomedical. It was one of the first years biomedical was even available. And the department chair of mechanical, Dr. Hoxing, convinced me to get a bachelor's in mechanical and a master's in biomed because it's broader. And I ended up not getting the master's in biomed, but still have been working in medical devices for 15 years. So I think that, and nothing wrong with biomedical, but I do think that in certain areas within things like medical devices, those mechanical skills are very much appreciated.
I'm in biomedical, and I really have to agree with Lindsay as somebody who's worked, especially in medical devices. I definitely think that if you are that forward thinking, and it's okay if you're not, knowing exactly what you want to do, but if you are thinking about something like medical devices and things like that, I think, if you're uncertain, if you go biomed and then you decide to maybe do a mechanical focus, I think that's definitely a safer bet because it does open up a lot of opportunity. And one of the things I would definitely say to a lot of people is when you're thinking about what area, you want to give yourself some room to be able to change, because everybody probably on this call can tell you probably had a plan when you came in, and you shift a little bit. You don't want to be too rigid with your plans, and it allows you to have a little bit more flexibility. But yeah, I chose biomedical. I knew I wanted to do something in the medical industry. I thought about even medical school, and choosing biomedical also allowed me to get all of the prerequisites for med school, to apply to med school. But in today's day and age, and actually work with the department on pre-med curriculums and things like that, you can really work with your advisors in almost any area and make sure you're getting what you need in order to go pre-med, pre-dental, pre-law. So yeah.
So I didn't do one of the traditional engineering majors. I majored in engineering technology, which is a offshoot of the rest of the engineering majors. The biggest difference between a normal engineering degree and an engineering technology degree is theory versus hands-on or operations. So I prefer the hands-on approach to engineering as opposed to going deeper into the theory. And I feel like that worked out better. I did get the same exposure to all of the disciplines. So I got a little bit of mechanical, I got a little bit of electrical, and I went down the computer path, and it helped me out. And if you prefer the operational and hands-on approach, definitely consider engineering technology.
And I appreciate the lead in from Darius, and I'm going to take it a little bit different way, and maybe Lindsay and Valerie could agree to. I don't know where they stand on if they hire people, but as someone who hires people from all over the United States, I work with people from Purdue, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, Cal Berkeley, Stanford, Duke, Harvard, MIT, you name it. I've worked with people at a 5,000 person company. What Darius said is what I've told Isaiah this, and I tell people all the time. I will put my hands on education in civil engineering at the University of Memphis against any of the major colleges you can throw out there. There are definitely schools that are out there. If you want to be a PhD and you want to do R&D your whole career, maybe Memphis is not the place for you. But if you want a place that's going to teach you how to be an engineer and you can go out in the real world and actually succeed and know how to think, I'll put my education against anybody I work with on a day-to-day basis.
Awesome. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much. So this one's a little bit maybe about the coursework of an engineering student, but also just student life in general. And so did y'all find it easy to adapt to the environment of the University of Memphis, or what was that transition like for you? Maybe somewhat as a general student, and then if you want to think about the engineering classes specifically. Anybody feel strongly? Logan.
Yeah, I feel like this is, since it's about adapting to the classroom setting, I can answer this one pretty well. As far as it depends on, your high school size, but generally speaking, a normal high school classroom is 25 to 30 students. And again, I'm a mechanical engineering student, so we have the most amount of students in our major within the Herb College of Engineering. And even my freshman level classes, which is when you have the most students in there, it was around 30 students. And now as a senior, you get less and less people as you get more focused. My Fluids 2 class has 9 people, including a grad student. So it's not that hard to kind of translate from high school to college. It's a different type of classroom experience. But as far as just like being totally caught off guard, you'll go in, take your notes, you'll learn all the material. Though I would say the biggest difference really is outside of the classroom, whereas in high school, you'll take your notes and you're probably done for the day, but here you're going to have to put in the time and effort, studying, looking over your notes, preparing for that next exam. So I would say that's the biggest difference is outside of the classroom, how much work you got to put in.
Yeah, engineering is definitely, you're going to be studying a lot, and a lot is going to be required of you in your courses. I think somebody mentioned earlier, it's definitely not an easy degree to get, but it's very rewarding. But it's definitely worth it if you're interested in it. And, but I was, in my case, I graduated from high school in 2015 from Bolton High School, and I was from Memphis, but I decided to live on campus. And so inside the classroom, was very much, I was a pretty studious student in high school, but I still had to study a lot in college. And so I did that in class, but outside of the classroom, I lived on campus. And the transition was great for me. I mean, I really enjoyed being close to everything. I know everybody doesn't have the opportunity to live on campus, but a lot of people might live close or live on campus, but that was a really great experience for me. And that was a way that I was able to get involved in things outside of the classroom too. When I wasn't in class, I was an orientation guide. I was a member of some student organizations, some engineering organizations and things like that. And so that was a great way for me to get involved. So, but it was a great transition of being able to live on campus outside of the classroom and inside the classroom.
Great, thank you. So a part 2 of that question would be, what about transitioning to the work environment? So going from class to work, do you have any advice or how did that go for you?
I
Lindsay.
recommend, yeah. So I started interning my senior year and I had been encouraged to intern before then, but I didn't want to because I was too busy on campus. But I was really glad that I finally decided to do it my senior year because I think it helped. It was a really good way to ease into the work environment for one. And then also, I mean, this isn't the question asked, but I just have to say it, like when I interview people and hire people, if they don't have, you ask them for experience and you get some good experience in college, but it doesn't compare to like actual work experience in a company. So, I mean, for me, the transition wasn't that hard. But I think it was because I eased into it, with 20 hours a week interning and then, and then it is really different to be like in one place for 40 hours a week instead of bouncing all over campus all day. So But having that exposure before graduating helped.
I'd like to piggyback off of Lindsay. I also did an internship my senior year. It was a great experience. You learn and you meet and network with people that you've never experienced before. Uh, just that transition into an office space, especially if you're going into that type of environment right after college, just having that opportunity to make your mistakes, because you're going to make mistakes and your job is not technically on the line. Your career's not on the line just yet. But you'll learn from those things before you have the chance to go out there and actually go out and make your real money. Stuttering, God, excuse me.
Oh, you're good. Thank you. Great stuff. Well, we have so many good questions that I would love to hear from multiple people on each one, but I want to keep it moving. So let's see, one that was asked earlier in the night is, what is something unique that makes the University of Memphis stand out? And so I really like that one. So if anybody would like to address it.
I think you've heard it a lot tonight. I mean, just it's a much smaller community. It's got the big school resources with a small school community. As you've heard many of us say on the call, smaller classes. You really feel like you get to know, most people on campus. Particularly, as Aaron said, I would highly urge, if you have the ability to live on campus, I think it's a great opportunity to get to be more part of the community. But it really has that small school feel. You have that feel of going to a small private school at a 20,000 person school. So you have those resources. And as any of us could tell you, I mean, the excitement of the new building that you're going to get to work out of probably before any of you graduate is pretty cool. We didn't have that. And seeing the renderings and the presentation of the new engineering and STEM building is pretty impressive, and it's going to be really cool to be a student on campus when that's happening.
Yeah, should have included some photos of that, but we will be getting a brand new facility, a STEM building that will have research space and labs and some really state-of-the-art equipment. And so maybe somebody could drop a link in the chat if we get to it, so y'all can check that out. Anybody else have something unique?
I will quickly add, of course, the involvement is amazing. And like you said, the small school feel at a large university, that's amazing. I'm currently an intern, and during that last question, we had multiple panelists say how they were an intern. And that is something that is very highly pushed here at the University of Memphis, is doing an internship, because everybody that graduates from the Herf College of Engineering, it has a degree. But what's going to really separate you is that internship involvement. So last time I checked, we were number 7 in the nation for internships at the University of Memphis. And a large part of that is because of our Herf College of Engineering internships. So a lot of my friends have done internships even as early as their sophomore year. So we have somebody on staff dedicated to working with you on your resume and your interview skills. That way you can land that internship early and get as much experience as possible before you graduate. So that's extremely helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's a couple questions about what your experience was like finding work after college. So kind of, was it easy for you? Where did you find yourself, having to apply for a lot of things? What was your success rate? Not to get into complete specifics, but maybe talk a little bit about how you found your internships or how you found jobs right after college.
Right there. I luckily got my internship and my first career from the internship fair, career and internship fair at the University of Memphis. I actually got them on the same day, which is weird. So I got an internship at a company downtown. It's called Low County. I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with the Memphis area. So I had them, and I got my first career, which was International Paper, which is a local Fortune 500 company here. And somehow I got them on the same day, but definitely utilize the career and internship fair that happens in the fall and the spring.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned earlier, so I graduated in spring of 2019, so a year and a half ago, a little over that now. And I graduated in May and I started working full time in June. And I, like Logan, I actually interned some summers while I was in college. And I was an internship that I did in between my junior and senior year, and I decided not to take it just because it wasn't the right fit for me. But I was offered a full-time position before I graduated. But then I was interviewing around the time of graduation, and ended up starting in June. So there really wasn't any time where I had to wait. And I know that's different for everybody, but I didn't have trouble finding a job after I graduated. So that was very great.
I would say, so I came out at a pretty interesting time. I came out in 2010 and I was finishing up my master's in 2011, which was it was a kind of rough time to enter the job market because of kind of the post 2008 recession. So quite a few, it was a bit of a struggle even for engineers to find jobs. And so one of the things I'd say that you should really start as soon as you start college is thinking about networking, because networking can really play into your favor when the job struggle is out there. And so I actually had networked with someone from my current company who is also a HERF College of Engineering alum. And I reached out to her and asked, were there opportunities in engineering available, in her department and things like that. And she actually set me up with about 10 people in different areas. And I was able to find something that was, that I actually had a lot of interest in. And one of the great things about HERF is, I feel like if you have been a recipient of that networking, make sure you extend it out. And so I've had times when people have called me and asked, is there a position, do you know of something, that might be opened? And Memphis is a really good community for that. And say not even just Memphis, but the Mid-South, and having that HERF network that you can kind of reach out and say, if this is something you're interested in. So make sure when you're meeting people, in the community, you're taking an opportunity and taking those interactions really seriously, because that may be where you land your job. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great advice. And I feel like that is kind of a testament to the impact of the University of Memphis community. And so if you are going to a place where you can really get to know your professors, get to know your classmates, have a rich experience inside and outside the classroom, then you're much more likely to be able to connect with those people beyond college and continue that relationship than if you're going somewhere that you are feeling like you can't quite get plugged in, or you feel like you're one of hundreds in all of your classes. And so I'm not originally from this area. I actually did not attend University of Memphis for undergrad, and I came here for an internship and have felt that this whole time, even just being a staff member on campus. And so it really is a strong community. And I think that obviously, in what some of the alums and our students are saying, that it helps with getting a job. And so both in preparing you with the types of skills and the things that you'll need, but also preparing you with the connections. And so Logan got it right with that internship stat. We have consistently focused on placing students in internships. And one more plug about the University of Memphis is that we are a large institution in a large city. And if y'all are joining us from the Southeast, there's a lot of really great schools that are in small towns. And so where will you get an internship? At some of those places. We've got students who are coming to Memphis or to cities to have internships and then missing out on a semester of their college experience. But here you can do both. And you can have a really great company or internship on your resume while also still getting to be in that fraternity or sorority or organization and not taking that time away. So that will be my shameless plug there. And I think that it's definitely somewhere that you can have it all. So we've got a couple other questions, and we're getting a little close on time. I wish we could stay and chat with y'all all night, but we do want to keep it to about an hour, because we know that it's dinner time or bedtime or whatever that looks like, depending on what your life is. But one question is, what was the hardest part about majoring in engineering? So people have kind of said it's a difficult major. What did y'all find the most difficult?
I think Darius hit it on the head. I mean, I don't remember the exact numbers. I'm sure we all can probably quote something similar, but I think I had about 55 or 60 folks in my entry level freshman class, and I probably had 12 or 15 that made it through all 4 years. I think exactly what Darius said earlier. You've got you can be successful in engineering. You just got to stick with it and stick through it. It is a difficult entry major until you get into your core classes. They are very hard topics when you're having high level sciences and high level mathematics and high level statics and thermodynamics that any of us could talk to you about. Those classes are meant to, like I said before, teach you how to learn and teach you the base knowledge you need to do whatever you want to do in the engineering world. But as Darius said, it's rewarding when you get all the way through. It will be difficult, but you got to stick with it. I tell jokes all the time about Calc 2, where this is probably sad to share, Paige, will probably kick us under the table, but I dropped it the first time I had it, then I failed, I made a D the second time I had it, and then I made a C and was glad to be out of there the third time I had it, but I still finished school with over a 3.25. But there are going to be classes like that you're going to hit, whether you don't really enjoy math or you don't really enjoy the science side. There's going to be a class that you're going to be like, I can't get through this, but you can, and then you'll be successful.
All about perseverance. Anybody else got something that was difficult for them?
Yeah, I agree with both Zach and Darius on that. I think every engineer has one class at least. I think I have like 4, but like you have like one class that you're just like, ugh, and it's difficult, it's tough, and it's really interesting. I did the living learning community, so I actually had 4 other engineering roommates. We were the first class of those people, but it depends on each person. So I think for me, like Cal 3 was miserable. Cal 2, I loved it. My roommate, who is is much smarter than me, has a PhD and works out in Silicon Valley. She struggled with Cal 2, and it was really, really surprising because she was just naturally better at math than I was. And so I think you're going to have something. And, just like Darius was saying, everybody has that time where you're just like, man, I should change my major. Like I was thinking, I actually looked up to see like, was yoga like an actual major at one point, because I was just like, I can't do this, but you'll get over it, and you'll thank yourself like at the end, you'll be like, it was worth it.
Yeah, I'm going to go off of what she said, because what I was going to say actually kind of goes hand in hand with her roommate. So I would say the hardest thing about engineering would be doing it alone. In the workforce, you're always going to be in a team environment for most of these problems. So this is my 3rd year. If you can't tell, I'm in a dorm setting. I'm currently in the engineering living learning community. And I started that in my freshman year, and that has really allowed me to develop friendships and teammates to attack this beast that is engineering school. So you go to your classes, and to do it alone and to come and study for an exam or do all this homework, if it's not clicking for you and you don't have people that you can go to ask for help and see if it's clicking for them, then you're kind of stuck there. You'll have to go to your professor. But if you organize a group work night and you work with your peers and stuff, and that, like she said, her roommate was good at Cal 2, she was good at Cal 3, so that I'm sure they helped each other through both of those classes. So doing it alone would probably be a huge mistake and a huge disadvantage, and would definitely make it more challenging.
Good advice. And one thing that I can see here on the Q&A that may be helpful for some of y'all, someone had asked about what types of math you see the most often in engineering. And so somebody, Isaiah maybe, or someone in the chat, or Logan, correct me, but Logan had said 3 semesters of calculus, 1 semester of differential equations, some core engineering classes, and physics. But engineering technology has a different set, since that is going to be a different type of degree. So that's just for those the mechanical, civil, all of those. And then the engineering technology goes through calculus 1. So just a heads up if you're not sure, or if you know that you're going to really enjoy one piece of it and that the math isn't going to be that piece of it, maybe look a little bit more at engineering technology, because the math doesn't go quite as high. All right. Thank y'all so much. This is really great information. I'm trying to look to see if I have missed any questions or if anybody had any that they wanted to touch on. I know one that came about was sort of about the opportunity to work with professors, and we talked about internships, but did anybody have any experience with undergraduate research? I know that's something that the University of Memphis really focuses on, and we have a lot of opportunities compared to some other institutions because we are not specifically affiliated with a medical school. And a lot of times that will be where your research dollars go, but ours are going into a lot of our faculty members who work with undergraduate students. And so I saw Zach unmute. Did you get to do that or have any experience with that?
I didn't specifically, but I have actually worked with undergraduate students on projects that we have done since we've been, since I've finished. And I know there's a lot of different projects and research money that comes through the engineering school where, because we don't have as large of a graduate program, that there are a lot of opportunities for students to work in different pieces and different research pieces. I actually, in my master's, did work with on a funded research program. It's what kept me from entering the law school, as I mentioned earlier. But I think you've heard many of us mention specific professors' names. And I think that's the other sort of difference that goes along with that smaller setting is most of us can name 4 or 5 professors that we had an actual relationship with in school. It wasn't just they were our teacher. It was somebody we interacted with and did things outside of class. There's still ones today that I have an interaction with on a fairly regular basis. And I think that's another key piece. In some of the larger schools where it's very much a focused master's and PhD program, you're not having that interaction with some of those professors. And I think that's what's really neat about the University of Memphis is you're going to have that interaction. You're not going to be taught by a TA at lower level classes. You're going to be taught by the same professors that are teaching graduate program classes. So there's, when we were talking earlier, as someone who works in a little different sort of work atmosphere than most of the others on the talk tonight, I compete with 20 or 30 other consulting firms across Memphis and the rest of the state of Tennessee and the region. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't interact with somebody who I went to the university with. And even though we're competing with one another on specific projects, we also team together on certain projects. And that relationship, as everyone has mentioned earlier, and that network is something that I'll cherish beyond, anything that I do in a work atmosphere. I know I can, if I've got an issue or a problem, I can call up some of my friends that work at Barge or at Gresham Smith and Partners or at Allen Hoschel or at Fisher and Arnold, or you just name the list. I know people in the civil engineering consulting world across the state. And most of those, resources are folks that I met when I was at the university. The public works director for the city of Memphis, he was a student of mine when I taught mech materials lab for Dr. Segui when I was a grad assistant. I mean, these are people now I work for on a day-to-day basis that give me jobs. That network you can't buy, as Valerie said. Those are ingrained things that you can't earn. It's earned through these relationships and the network that you build. And that's what's so great.
Awesome. Thank you. So guys, we are getting towards the end of our time, and I want to just leave with one final piece of advice from each of our panelists. And so I'm going to let Lindsay go first because I know she might have to drop off a little early. But just what is one piece of advice you would give to these incoming students that they should know before they get into college and hopefully they get here to the University of Memphis?
Yeah, so my advice would be just to jump in with both feet. Like, don't, especially if you're from Memphis and you're coming to the University of Memphis, don't leave one foot behind in high school. Like, pretend like you're moving out of town, and just get involved in whatever it is. Whether definitely get involved in the engineering community if that's what you're majoring in, because you need those people. Like Logan was saying earlier, like you can't do it alone. But just jump in, find what interests you, and enjoy it. Like you get out of it what you put into it, and the more you get into it, the more you'll love it.
Thank you. Anybody got a piece of advice they want to share next?
I'll go. You guys, I'm really going to piggyback off of what Lindsay said because I thought it was perfect. But you have one college experience, so make the best of it, and you don't want to look back on your college experience from an academic standpoint and wish that you hadn't challenged yourself a little bit more, or given up too easily and things like that. But you also want to make sure that you want to have fun. So have fun, and there's ways to do that. I promise there's a balance in doing things and really challenging yourself academically as well as getting involved in the community, and it's so worth it. So good luck to everyone out there with the search.
Yeah, I'll go next. This kind of goes hand in hand with just getting to know people and jumping all the way in. But one of the things, professors can be intimidating sometimes. I remember when I first started, sometimes, especially freshman year, even in larger classes, you might think it's kind of scary. I don't know if I want to go and talk to my professors and meet them, but it truly is worth it to be able to meet your professors, and especially once you get into your degree program, having just a working relationship with them. They really care about you, and in my experience at U of M and within engineering, they really care about you and want you to succeed, and they will go out of their way in a lot of cases to really help you succeed. And I've had professors that I actually still stay in touch with, and I graduated almost 2 years ago now, and I'm still in touch with them on LinkedIn and social media platforms, and they still keep up with me, ask me how I'm doing, and where I'm working and things like that, and that means a lot. And so that's just my piece of advice. Just really get to know your professors in college, because they have so much that they can teach you. So, and good luck to everyone.
My last bit of advice on top of everything that's been covered so far tonight would be go ahead and start practicing time management. It's extremely important. I was fortunate enough that my very first semester here, I took literally a class called How to Succeed in the Herf College of Engineering. And it was a 1-hour honors forum. Isaiah Serbrook was actually the teacher of it. And he had us do this activity where we tracked everything we did for a week, whether it was studying, sleeping, eating, doing something fun. And basically after that week, we're able to take a step back and say, I really wasted a lot of time, or I studied 8 hours for a vocabulary quiz. Not that you're going to have a vocabulary quiz, but just learning how to balance how much time you're putting into work, into school, and like Valerie said, into fun, because it's important to have that balance. I still map out each of my, weeks, each of my days. I have a planner. So even though you may not need it now in high school, go ahead and get yourself a planner and just start practicing, because time management is going to be crucial once you get into college.
Yes, I'll go next. All of them made perfect points. There's no need to repeat it, but I think one more thing to add on to that would be to practice patience. Have patience with yourself, have patience with the professors. They're trying their best to teach you all of the material that you need, and you need to learn the things that you need to get into the field. So just have patience with yourself. Don't give up so easily, like I mentioned earlier, and you'll make it out in the end.
All right. Any other parting thoughts? Well, thank y'all so much for being here. We really appreciate it. I am going to turn it over to Kyle Nixon to just wrap up and share a few updates and some contact info.
All right. Thank you, Paige. And thank you to our panelists for joining us tonight and sharing all of your wonderful insights on your experience. Kudos to each of you for enduring the engineering grind. I am not a math or science person, and so I thank you for all that you do to build our roads and bridges and all of those wonderful things. On the screen now, you'll see some contact information for the Herf College of Engineering. Dr. Richard Swigert is the dean, and then Isaiah Serbrook, who's here tonight, is the Director of Student Services and is able to answer all of the questions that you may have regarding the Herv College of Engineering or engineering in general, and he'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Just a couple of things regarding next steps. Hopefully all of you are planning to enroll at the university. If you're a senior or a transfer student who is planning to attend next fall, we encourage you to go ahead and apply for admission to the university if you've not done so yet. Using that link that's listed on the screen, as well as scholarships. If you want to take advantage of scholarships, we've extended our scholarship deadline, and so you still have some time to do that as well, just so you'll have a better picture of what your finances will be once you get here. The same thing goes with FAFSA. If you've not completed your FAFSA application yet, we encourage you to do that as well. The sooner that you complete that process, the sooner we'll be able to share with you what your financial aid package will look like at the university. For those of you who are planning to live on campus, and I hope that all of you are, the portal for that actually opens this Thursday on February the 18th. Some of these folks here tonight talked about the engineering, living, and learning community. I would certainly recommend that you live on campus with fellow engineering majors, just to get a better understanding of what their experiences are. And of course, you'll have classes with those folks as well. And so know that portal opens on February the 18th. If you've not visited campus yet, we encourage you to do that. You know, we mentioned earlier that this experience is a little bit challenging in the virtual landscape. And so we encourage you to visit campus. We offer campus tours every day, Monday through Friday, at 9:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. And would certainly welcome you at any time. And then finally, orientation. This is where you'll come to campus this summer to meet some fellow future Tigers, register for your classes, meet with your academic advisor, Betsy Lowe, who's actually here tonight, and get your class schedule. And so that portal opens in early March. And so if you want to keep that date in mind, know that we'll be sending out some information regarding orientation within the next couple weeks. That is all that we have for you tonight. Again, if y'all have questions or need anything from us, please feel free to reach out. We'll be happy to answer those for you or point you in the right direction. And we certainly hope to see you on campus soon. Thank you, and go Tigers.
Go Tigers.